Hello, everybody. Look who my guest is. KEVIN McDONALD.
I'm KEVIN McDONALD. I live in Mississauga.
Bragger.
You spell like Mississippi, except for the Aga part. M-I-S-S-I-S-S. Then it goes off.
Episode 11 of the Buttpod podcast, which you can find Stitchers, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. My guest, KEVIN McDONALD.
Mississauga.
How do you think it went?
I thought it went very well, and I don't think I'm lying. I think it did went very well. I thought it
You
was
lied throughout the podcast.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yes, but that's the good part.
Yeah. There was any number of fabrications.
It was a good, like the cow thing. Wait till you see the cow thing.
Here's one of the things I like about how KEVIN lies. He lies and then bails on the lie pretty quickly thereafter.
That's true. Yeah. You're right, Your Honor. I wasn't near the murder that
So
day.
it's like a very pleasant, likable con man. Who's like partway through the scam was like, no, you know what?
You're right. The whole thing is made up. Sorry.
You're better off not giving me your money.
Yeah.
That's the kind of con
In fact,
man.
do you need any of mine?
Yeah, the con. We've just created a character.
Yeah, it's the bad con man. This is a great sketch.
You and I could write a movie, I bet you.
I bet we could.
It would be crowd-pleasing kind of a movie, I think.
I think we crowd-pleasing funny.
We both have a desire to get laughs from people.
Yeah, so that's half the battle, right?
Yeah, I hope it's at least half the battle.
I don't like when people say it writes itself.
Now, one of the things about Kids in the Hall,
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, KEVIN was a member of a very popular comedy orchestra
12-man comedy troupe
called Kids in the Hall. My mother used to put orchestra at the end of a lot of things. Anywhere you would use the term group or something, like she would say, oh, there was this TV show on last night. It had one of the rock and roll orchestras. I think you like that. Rock and roll orchestra.
Band, which is a new word. Paul Bellini used to say oeuvre. It's from Kevin's oeuvre.
Oeuvre?
We used to like that oeuvre.
What does that mean? That's French or open, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that? Ouvert?
That makes less sense.
So KEVIN was in Kids in the Hall, and we talked a little bit about this on the podcast, which I highly recommend you dial up.
So do I.
Buttpod.com or Stitcher, iTunes, wherever. But this notion of there's different kinds of comedy, certainly, but there's this kind of edgy comedy, which I don't do. It's not my bailiwick. I'll go so far as to use arcane terms like bailiwick, if that's edgy.
That's pretty edgy.
Sign me up. But the kids, they were of the time. They were very edgy comedy for the time.
Well, edgy and also like odd, I would say, because we didn't know we'd started a troupe. We tried to get audition in Second City.
You didn't know you started a troupe?
We didn't know we started a troupe.
We
thought we were
funny
killing time
in 5 or 6 minute chunks consistently.
We thought we were killing time so Second City would hire us, but they would say we're too weird, and because they were Canadians, we thought, they're just being nice. The too weird means bad.
Yeah, not funny.
Not funny. It's weird means not funny.
But hilarious and groundbreaking.
As it turns
in
out.
a lot of ways. A lot of, a huge hit, that show. How long did that go? We talked a little bit about this.
5 to 9 years.
Somewhere between 5 to 9. Certainly not in double digits.
No, we didn't make that. 5 seasons.
Because I often get Kids in the Hall mixed up with the Beachcombers. Both classic.
Relic was in the first season.
Canadian television that ran forever. But like you did 20 episodes a season.
Yeah, so that's 100 episodes and some best stuffs. But when Cornagas could still be running, you're the one that stopped it, right?
Yeah.
And how many years was that?
That was 6 years, 107 episodes.
Wow.
And
it could still be running now.
Yeah.
It is.
The funny thought was,
it is.
The thinking was, we got to wrap this up before it gets old and tired. And then the notion was, we'll come back and do a movie in a few years. And that did gangbusters.
Yeah, right.
The movie did huge box office. So then they said, well, there's still an appetite. Why don't you do more? We didn't want to just come back and do the same thing. And so we're doing Cornagas animated now. So ironically, I stopped the show because I thought we shouldn't keep doing it.
And
here we are, 9 years later. Still, I'm the new Gilligan. That's what I tell people. I'm built more like the skipper, but I'm.
Is Bob Denver still alive?
I believe he is. I haven't heard otherwise. Let's take a second to Google that. I will. I'll edit out the Googling.
When I was a kid, I thought he was like Jerry Lewis, and I realized Jerry Lewis was better. I said that.
I don't know if I would even jump up and down and say that. Jerry Lewis was better. I guess, in many ways.
Okay, here's my theory on Jerry Lewis. A third of every movie that he directed is brilliant. a third is like okay, and a third is awful. Because he wrote by himself, he needed a guy to look at the Jerry script. Go, that's good, that's good. No, Jerry, no,
No, you can't.
no, that's good, that's good. No, Jerry. He needed a no Jerry guy.
Was Dean that guy for him when they were a team? Do you think?
I wonder in a way, like
Dean seems
he was
like
easygoing with the script, but I bet on stage he would probably say no.
You get the vibe that Dean Martin was just good with people.
Yeah.
Towards the end of his life, I guess, he lived in or near Santa Monica.
Oh, did he?
And there was a seafood place that he used to go to all the time. One night, me and a bunch of comics, we came into this joint, and somebody said to me, "This is where Dean Martin used to come in the later part of his life." And I was quite a bit of a Dean Martin fan. I still am.
Yep.
So I was talking to the old-time bartender there, and he told us this story about Dean Martin I thought was great. I asked him about, is this where Dean Martin would come? And he said, yeah, he would come here 3-4 times a week, you know. He would come here. It would just be him and his driver. But he said invariably, he would sit there by himself having dinner, and there'd be some couple that would come over, and they'd be like, is that Dean Martin? And they would go over to him, you know, and they would say, you Dean Martin? And yeah. And they would talk for a little bit. We used to love your show and everything. And he would sign stuff for them and everything. And when he was settling up his bill at the end of the night, he would say to the bartender, "Do you see that couple that was talking to me? They remember who I am." Like genuinely kind of like, isn't that cool? And the bartender would be like, yeah, you're Dean Martin, man. You're like the biggest. But he kind of didn't have that sense of himself.
I wonder if you get like around 70, you go, oh, I'm not happening anymore.
I'm not a part of the, or in my case, the 50s. If you get in your 50s, you start.
Or in my case, the later 50s.
Nothing says you're an active, vibrant, relevant part of the comedy community like being up at 7 a.m. on a Sunday for no reason. That's right. I was just up having coffee, going on Twitter.
What about that? Doing a TV show, sometimes you're shooting at 7 or 8 in the morning. Isn't that the weirdest time in the world to be funny?
Yeah, it
like
really
being
is.
funny at 7 in the morning?
When you guys were doing kids,
yes.
You guys weren't shooting early morning stuff, were you?
Well,
my memories of, because I was in a couple sketches, they were late afternoon, into the evening was the sketch.
Well, what we would do in the film part of the show, it'd be a 2-week film block. And it would start early in the morning, and then the next day would it would be like that for a couple of days. And
ease off.
I guess you would know that it's TV production, and then we'd get later and later, and then we always ended with an all-night one. And I remember we always drank the last night when we were shooting. It was usually a hooker scene. So
we got to write a hooker scene so we can get some drinks up in here.
And we'd be in our trailer. We'd only drink. We never drank like anything other in our work other than the last all-night shoot of the film.
Yeah, I guess you couldn't. You couldn't maintain a high level of professionalism and productivity if you were just gooned all the time, right?
No, especially in film.
Especially all 5 of you. 1 or 2 of you could get away with.
Yeah.
But if you were all gooned all the time.
Yeah. Like Sunday Night Live, sure, I'll be gooned.
You guys should have rotated. So
Yeah,
1 week, I get to be gooned all throughout all
That's it. You guys carry me in May.
Shift work.
That's right.
Oh, baby, I can't wait till February 11th. It's my gooned week. What's the drunkest you've ever been in your life?
I was out of it for 2 days. I can't really drink a lot. And then the next day I got alcohol poisoning. And then I remember the doctor told me, he said, for now and for the rest of your life, you may just have a sip. And you'll get sick. You may have like 7 drinks and nothing will happen.
It sounded to me like this doctor was really couching his diagnosis.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes you'll feel okay. Sometimes you'll be sick. I'm a doctor. I should know.
Well, listen, we had a deuce of a time talking.
Even this was a deuce of a time.
Yeah, this was fun. This could variably be the show. There's nothing wrong with doing these.
I should have made more faces. I'm sorry.
We made plenty of faces throughout the podcast.
I know, sadly.
There's no benefit to it. But,
sadly.
Episode 11, KEVIN McDONALD on the Buttpod podcast.
I listen to it.
Yeah, listen. The guy, he makes good sense. I left you hanging on the Bob Denver thing. I did Google it. Sadly, he has passed away.
And when did he die?
13 years ago. So it's like when they say late breaking news, that's what this is. Bob Denver dead in 2005. Yeah. We're not laughing at Bob Denver being dead because neither of us are very edgy. We're not edgy comedians. Sour note that we left.
Sour note.